Ladies, gentlemen, welcome to a brand new news roundup video. Today, we've got quite a few tidbits to discuss, ranging from freaking Joker 2, maybe a little bit of Harvey Dent in there that's been spotted, some Superman Legacy, a bunch, and I mean quite a bunch of screenshots to do with James Gunn replies that I have to give my take on. Also, got some Batman 2 rumors out there, which, I think is relevant to go over the more and more we get closer to what I feel is like any day or week now. There should be some kind of update. So we're going to cover that and a bunch of things. I'm probably forgetting something, but as always, these videos are timestamped, so feel free to skip around if you want to do so, but I recommend tuning in to the whole video to stay very up to date. But let's get into the first screenshot here. And this user asks, "Hey James, when you're finished with writing Superman Legacy, will we get a trailer? A trailer for Superman Legacy this year?" And Gunn replies, "No, we don't begin filming until March. Writing is basically done and has been done for a while, other than a comma here and a comma there." The thing clearly that I want to talk about here is a trailer for Superman Legacy. Now, I don't think any of us, or well, a lot of us expected a full-blown trailer by Christmas or New Year's of 2024. But I think it's still a relevant question to ask, because with certain projects, you do kind of get some peek into it, even through that of a form of some kind of clip. Now, the best example of this is Matt Reeves's, of course, The Batman, with only, 25 to 35% of that film being shot during COVID, and then we got quite a cool trailer, of course, with such a small amount of footage only having been worked on for a little while. And now Superman Legacy, by December this year, will most certainly be quite a ways into post-production. I'm assuming Superman Legacy would take, 3-4 months to film? That's, I would say, the average, if you will, for a comic book movie. So what I'm trying to say is, technically, you could argue Gunn could put something out there if he wanted to, most certainly, but he probably doesn't want to. And I think maybe that's to do with a few things. This is the first movie in the DCU. This is the biggest movie, if you will, that everyone, at least for now, will be judging for what James Gunn and Peter Safran's DC Universe will be. What is the tone like? What's the aesthetic like? What is the potential that will reflect off of Superman Legacy for everything else moving forward? So maybe he wants to drop any kind of proper impression with regards to, I'm not even talking trailer, I'm talking clips, only when the marketing ramps up in 2025. Now, I would never say never with regards to going back to Matt Reeves again here. I know we got a trailer for that, but I do want to stress that's not really the norm, what we got with the Batman, with that DC Fandom trailer. But he did put out stuff like, I remember quite early on, he put out pictures of Robert Pattinson standing next to the Batmobile. I think it was like 3 or 4 photos. I'm probably showing on screen right now. That gives me major nostalgia. Obviously, we can't truly compare Gunn to Matt Reeves because they're not the same director or person, and they might make different decisions with how to tease the audience, but I do think that Gunn will surely give us a tease at some point in time with regards to actually some cool things to look at, even if it's not a trailer. Up next, we have, how many projects are you writing? Don't get me wrong, I'll take all I can get, but damn, you're a machine. And Gunn says, as for just himself, obviously here, just Peacemaker Season 2 right now while I prep Legacy, which makes sense. Gunn is obviously very much so in the thick of pre-production for Superman Legacy, but, while things, and departments are taking their own reins, if you will, for what they need to do, and Gunn's overseeing that, he probably does have some, I say some because he's a very busy man, spare time for writing Peacemaker Season 2. And also another aspect of this is that Gunn, through the replies like this and other replies that we've had before in the past, he will probably be writing, most definitely, in fact, for other DCU projects. But obviously, that's a while away, but I'm very intrigued as to what those will be. And if you have any suggestions as to what Gunn could write and direct in the future, because I'm sure he'll be directing Peacemaker Season 2 as well, while obviously overseeing other projects in the DCU at the time, similar to the thing that's going on with Legacy right now. But I am wondering what else he might want to take control of himself in the future, like as in hands-on control, like directing and writing. So up next with this user, they ask, do we have any projects with writing in the early stages and far from seeing the light of day? Now, Gunn then says a few, yes. This one, you may say, like, duh, like, of course, there's God knows how many things that we don't know about cooking in the background of the DCU. But I don't know, I wanted to mention it because some of these projects that I'm hoping, a few yes, what are they? I'm hoping one of them is The Question. I feel like there's a few teasers for that. I think maybe something Deathstroke related. You may be like, why are you saying that? Well, I'm clinging on to a very early tease that Gunn made a long time ago. Let me know what you hope are any of these projects with writing in the early stages that you hope to see the light of day. And, you know, I don't think we're going to get any of those announced for quite a while. And that's something that I keep going back and forth on the channel. It's just like, when do you think we'll hear more? Will it be San Diego Comic-Con? What about the rest of the Chapter 1 slate? Because we've had 12 projects announced so far, including Peacemaker Season 2 and Arkham. When will we get the extra 10? Because right now, obviously, Gunn said previously that the 10 that was announced in that January video is less than half. So with 12 now, we've still got at least like another 8 to go. I don't know if we need those announced, given how much more we need to learn about those initial 12. Does that make sense? I mean, selfishly, hell yeah, I want to know what's in the remainder of Chapter 1. Is there a Nightwing project? Is there a Titans project? But I would temper, I know I'm going off on a bit of a tangent right now, but I've had a lot of people asking me as we're getting into the new year what we could see at events this year, like Comic-Con. I would just say temper your expectations. That's not me trying to shut anything down, because it would be a really pleasant surprise if we learned even more, but just we've still got so much to learn, as much as we are learning. So up next, this is something that I covered in the previous news roundup. I believe I put in one of the subjects or topics of the title of my previous news roundup video, it was like Harley Quinn recast. Because obviously I wanted to talk about that as Margot Robbie gave an interview, was it to Variety or Vanity Fair? I can't remember. She was asked a question like, are you hanging up the hammer or something? All she really said in that response that you're probably seeing on screen right now was something like, oh, you know, that's always been my dream for other actors to take on the role. I love the fact that that can happen, just like many male roles out there kind of thing. Think Batman to frickin' James Bond. So Harley's catapulted into popularity, and she loves to see the same thing happening. But she never shot it down. So this user says, this quote is being taken to mean Margot will not be Harley again in your new DCU. Is that true? And Gunn says, I haven't talked to Margot about Harley for a long time, but I'd love to work with her again as Harley or as someone else. There are no plans at this time for anyone else to play Harley. I mean, other than in Todd's movie or the animated shows, which is kind of... We're back at square one, right? We don't know. James Gunn is admitting here that he hasn't spoken to Margot in a long time about Harley ever since the Suicide Squad, I guess. You know, with the DCU, I guess, you know, he hasn't felt the need to go to Margot if he wanted to approach her again to maintain the role of Harley in his new universe. So it could still mean a new continuity. An example here is keeping Margot as Harley, but getting rid of the lore of Jared Leto's Joker. Or you could maintain the continuity of her breaking up with Joker, but Joker is not Jared Leto. It's a completely different looking DCU Joker kind of thing. That's the thing about this reboot. You can maintain some continuity, like Peacemaker Season 2 probably will. There'll be the butterfly invasion, but for example, you'd retcon the ending scene where the Justice League turn up. That could technically never happen, and that wouldn't remotely affect the rest of the continuity that can be maintained in Peacemaker Season 2, which is set in the DCU. So if you're still with me here, basically, he would love to work with her again, or as someone else. Well, I'd say someone else. I know many of you might disagree with me. I really do like her as Harley, but I just feel like it would benefit the universe to have fresh faces for those characters, which may sound hypocritical because I'm okay with Amanda Waller, Freddie Stromer as Vigilante, and John Cena as Peacemaker, but I've kind of already been over how I don't think those roles are invasive or stand out in anyone's minds as to, you know, really reminding you of the old DCEU, especially when they came in right at the end. Not including Waller, but we barely saw her from Suicide Squad onwards. Now, this other user said, James Gunn, well, to be honest, that's sad you didn't plan anything for Harley Quinn in your new DCU yet. Jim Lee describes her as one of the 4 pillars of DC, along with Batman, Wonder Woman, and Superman. And Gunn said, that's not exactly what I said, but this user seemed to take out of what Gunn said there that he has no plans for Harley Quinn at all in the DCU, and that just simply isn't true. It's just way too early to divulge any of those plans to the public, like us right now. But what is up in the air is Margot going to play Harley? Is somebody else going to play Harley? I don't know. But Harley probably is in the future. They've probably spoken about that in or within that of the architectural team of the DCU. But my God, I can't imagine we're going to hear it or see that or see any of those plans come to fruition in the next 3 to 5 years, because we're quite busy with, like, I don't know, Superman Legacy, Lanterns, The Authority, and I can't imagine Harley's going to pop up in any of those anytime soon. So again, it's something that can be broached in the future with regards to approaching Margot again or someone else. So this user says, any news about Lanterns, James? And what intrigued me about this, and maybe I do like to cling on some things sometimes, but I can't help it. I mean, this is the channel for that. Gunn says, not publicly. Not just yet. So, I don't know. It's just like, not just yet, ... I fully admit, this could mean like in 7 months' time, we'll hear more about Lanterns publicly. Another reply that is in the whole not just yet ... thing that I wanted to combine with this as to why I think, could we be hearing something which I do want to say myself is a bit of a reach for me to hope for? But we have this user saying, is this info about the Waller show true, James? And just, if you don't know, this is a screenshot from the DCU Leaks Reddit page. And lo and behold, James Gunn says, not at all. None of that's true about the Waller shows. But on top of saying not at all no, he says, sorry, more soon. So not only did we hear with regards to Lanterns, this is why, is it a reach? Maybe, what I'm saying. Not publicly, not just yet, so we're not going to learn about things just yet. But with regards to Waller, okay, all of that's not true with regards to those unverified leaks, but, sorry, more soon. Not like more later, but he said more soon. So soon, I guess, is still open to interpretation. Some people might say within 2 months is soon. Some people might say, nah, soon is like 3 weeks from now. That's up for debate, obviously. But it does make me think we will be learning something more about one of or two of the DCU shows soon. I think maybe we could only apply the word soon to Waller because, once again, going back to the DCU Chapter 1 Gods and Monsters reveal video at the end of January, Waller was the first DCU show announced in the lineup, which went Creature Commandos, Waller, Superman Legacy, Lanterns, The Authority. Now, again, it's been acknowledged that that's not a firm release order. It can be subject to change because life happens, logistics, and things like that. But, I do kind of try and stick to that as a bit of a baseline. For example, Creature Commandos is the first DCU project that we're getting. Lo and behold, where was that in the release video of January 31st? The reveal video, that is, the first project announced. So do you know what I mean? I think the intent was Creature Commandos, which we are getting first, and then Waller. But the strike happened with the WGA, the actors. I think that might delay things, but not at all, no, sorry, more soon, with Gunn's reply with regards to Waller, could mean that what if they are still trying to get Waller out before Superman Legacy? He said Waller and Creature Commandos were more aperitifs, like these appetizers for what is to come with the DCU, kicking off properly with Superman Legacy. So, yeah, I think maybe we might hear more soon about Waller. Hopefully they're going to maybe get that series off the ground and maybe aired sometime before Superman Legacy in 2025, maybe like a spring release. Okay, so this next one is pretty funny to me because I tweeted something out and I had like a mixed response. Lots of people were liking it and saying, oh, that was their takeaway as well. And then some people were saying, like, it sounds like you're high, Boba. Now, I do want to say, I just entertain this because, hey, I think it is reaching. With that being said, which may not make sense until I bloody read this out, Mr. Gunn, is it true that Viola Davis will return? Keyword being return, in my opinion, as Waller in Superman Legacy. Now, Gunn here replies saying, and with some capitalization here, return as Waller in Legacy? No. If that's a rumor out there, it's false as usual. Now, I said something on Twitter like, again, just for a bit of fun. I just wanted to pose it to you guys. I find the wording a little bit interesting. Return as Waller, capitalized in Legacy? No. Why would that be no? Because her return would be perhaps in Waller, the TV show, the Max show, the DCU show that we're getting. So would she return as Waller in Legacy? Well, no, her return would be in Waller, but does that discount her having a role in Superman Legacy? No, because the specific questioning here by the user to Gunn is, will she return in Superman Legacy? Do you know what I mean? Do you know what I'm trying to get at here? I know so many of you will be like, Boba, look, I know you like speculating, but this one's pretty straightforward. I just think that Waller could still work in Superman Legacy because it's Amanda Waller after all, and given, Superman's current status in the world and, all the, questions, certain powers, governments to Sam Lane, to Viola Davis's Amanda Waller could have, that could maybe be a part of the story, even if in a tiny way. And especially, by the way, I do want to say to you, if the DCU Waller show was originally intended to be the project before Superman Legacy, I find that kind of interesting. And that would mean that her return wouldn't be in Superman Legacy, it would be in Waller. Now, this user says, will Legacy be the only DCU project to enter production this year? And Gunn says, nope. Now, going back to our Waller discussion earlier, I think that could be the show to enter production, because obviously we've got Creature Commandos that's releasing, we've got Penguin releasing this year, but as for actual DCU outside of Creature Commandos and Superman Legacy entering production as a movie, you'd have to think that if we're going to roughly go off the non-firm release order of what they unveiled in the January video, it should probably be Waller. I mean, let me know if you think I'm wrong. Do you think it's going to be Lanterns? But unless they really want to release Waller now after Lanterns, I would say Waller. I would say Waller. All right, so getting through some of the last ones now. Was John Logan ever attached to writing The Brave and the Bold? This was a leak, if you will, from the DC EU Reddit leaks at the time, and Gunn says no, he was not, but it still needs to be further clarified because attached is different to just being in talks. So somebody says, was he ever in talks, though? And Gunn said, no. Now, up next, we have Gunn saying in reply to where are you at with Peacemaker Season 2, as we kind of went over earlier, over halfway written, and I think the next few of these screenshots are about Peacemaker. So we have this user saying, Eagly has already been traded, or did he just sneak between universes? Marvel has to give us something in return. And James Gunn said, Eagly sneaked. He's back with us. I'm writing him today, and what they mean by that is Eagly is, successfully come over from the DCEU, technically, to the DCU Peacemaker Season 2. Because a lot of people are still wondering, how are you going to address it? Because Gunn did confirm before that they are going to address the universe change in Peacemaker Season 2, which I think leads me to the next one saying, is Season 2 going to be totally different than Season 1 because of the reboot, or is it only going to have slight changes? And Gunn says you'll have to wait and see how that works out. Next one here, won't it be confusing having a Season 2 of a different universe? Why not just have it be a new show? I disagree with that. And Gunn says, because it's my favorite thing to do. It's the biggest original Max show ever, and I have a way in. It won't be confusing. So, and I say I disagree just because I get what they're saying. Why not just have Peacemaker Season 2 just be a new show? And it's like, it's not that confusing in my opinion. We're getting a reboot, DCEU to DCU, but Peacemaker, again, it's going to be fine. And Gunn says he has a way in. It won't be confusing. Somehow it's going to be addressed. We don't quite know how it will be right now, but, it's fine. And then lastly, this is something that I'm very excited, very, very excited for. This user says, are we really getting a new opening for Peacemaker Season 2? And Gunn replies with a GIF saying yes. And somebody else says, makes sense. Half the characters from the last one are dead, but will it also have a new song or just a new dance, or will it be completely different from the Season 1 opening? And he says you'll have to wait and see. So I think this is exciting to me as a Peacemaker fan because I genuinely didn't know if they were going to replace that first intro just because it was so good, the intro to the show, the opening sequence. But now we know we're getting a whole brand new one, which, I think it does make sense, as this user said. There are some characters in there, in that intro sequence, which aren't going to be, or wouldn't apply to the new season because they are dead. So they're going to have to film a new one with new characters coming in and starting to do that dance, if you will. But I am so excited. It's such a funny intro to the show, to the point of where, most of the time these days, you just do the skip intro button. You just don't really do that with Peacemaker. At least a lot of people say that, including myself. You would happily sit there and watch the da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. So I'm very, very happy to hear that. Let me know what you guys think. But let's now move on to the next part of this video. Before we get onto the Batman stuff, there is a teeny tiny little update with regards to Rachel Brosnahan here having an interview because she attended the Golden Globes, of course. Obviously, if you're going to have an interview, as the new Lois Lane in the future, I mean, of course they're going to ask you about that. So I believe the interviewer said at the time, and I would play the video, but, copyright stuff. Oh, you're the new Lois Lane. What can we expect from that? And she said, we've been having a lot of great conversations, David and I, with James Gunn, the director. We've been talking a lot about where this project fits into the canon of Supermans that we know. So hopefully this will be, we'll be putting our own stamp on things, which I think is the best thing. Obviously, you don't want to deviate, as I say. You don't want Superman to have an all-yellow costume. Everyone would be like, wait, what the hell? That's not even innovative. That is just straight up deviating from what we love. I agree. But what you do want to do is innovate, bring something fresh, but also adhering to that beautiful source material that we all know and love. And that is Superman, Clark Kent, Jonathan, Martha, Perry, Jimmy, Lois, etc., etc. But yeah, so that's what she means by we'll be putting our own stamp on things. So Superman Legacy, despite having inspirations and influences, as Gunn has said, from, for all seasons, All-Star Superman, this, that, and the other, it will have its own style. And I think that new and own identity from Corin Sweat's Clark, and not being exactly the same as Christopher Reeve and everything. I don't think anyone really wants that. You could take little traits here and there, but it's the answer I would have liked to have heard. Deadline continued to say when the reporter asked Brosnahan if Lois Lane would be wearing glasses, and did they think they were interviewing Clark Kent? I mean, I don't know. Brosnahan said, I don't know, actually. Maybe. We haven't gotten that far in fittings yet, which is also interesting and what people took out of this brief interview, because a lot of us were thinking maybe David Cornsweet and everyone else is already quite maybe in the thick of Superman costume fittings, considering they're filming in March. But at the same time, it's not really a surprise. Maybe some actors are further ahead than others. As for Lois here, Rachel Brosnahan says, I guess personally for her, they haven't got that far in the fittings yet. Maybe they have for other people like Anthony Carrigan's Metamorpho or Mr. Terrific, but I think it could be across the board. We're only in January. You've still got all of January, all of February before you get into March. But you would have to think any week now they will be quite far into the fittings. But yeah, kind of a weird. Will Lois Lane, if you have an interview question that you want to ask the new Lois Lane, and you ask, so will Lois Lane be wearing glasses? Why would you ask? Yeah, I need to interview Rachel Brosnahan. Get the hashtag going. Boba interviews Rachel. So up next in Joker 2 Folie, Deux, we have Joker Folie News, who I recommend following on Twitter, saying exclusivo. I cannot read this, so I will translate it. Harry Lotley on the set of Joker Folie Deux. Everything indicates that he will play Harvey Dent, Two-Face, of course, the prosecutor in the Joker case. So I just wanted to share this. I don't know how they got this exclusive photo, but this makes perfect sense to me. I've covered Joker 2 quite a lot. I recommend checking out my Everything We Know About Joker 2 video. I cover Harvey Dent in that. What we do know from Arthur Fleck attending the Gotham Superior Court, I believe it is, to face the crimes for what he committed in Joker 1, there are signs from some of the protesters on Arthur's side saying Dent is a clown. So, yeah, I mean, we kind of already knew that Harvey Dent, the district attorney, would be prosecuting Arthur Fleck. And if there is an explosion or something, that's what could lead to Harvey becoming Two-Face, getting disfigured on one side of his face as Arthur escapes into Gotham City. I don't think that would be like a major part of the plot. It'd be a nice nod to that would be Harvey's origin, and I think that'd be pretty cool. But this could be our first look at Harvey, technically making a statement to the press about how day one of court went or something, or maybe just before it all starts. I think Harry Lotley, especially over here in the UK, has blown up over the past several years, and he's 27 years old, so he would kind of be the youngest district attorney Gotham has ever seen. So I don't know. We're going to have to ultimately wait and see, but let me know what you think of this tidbit of Joker Folie Deux news. Okay, so up next now, we're going into the Batman rumor. Now, this is actually from John Roker on his Hot Mic podcast, I believe it's called, and it was the final show of 2023. Now, some of you have been asking me to cover this because I didn't cover it. Some of you may not know about this. It's a podcast he runs with Jeff Snyder. One thing I really like about John Roker, I'm sorry if I'm butchering his name, is that whenever he says something like this, he heavily says, this is from what I've heard. I'm not saying it's official confirmation, so he's just saying he's heard it, right? So take it with a grain of salt. So he says, I hear from a couple of my sources that although this is not official, apparently the Batman Part 2 script, and this is interesting, was officially turned in before Christmas. And the stories you've heard about certain people being a part of the film, half true, half not true, is what I'm hearing. So let me just interject there before carrying on. This is another situation of, even though that was presented to James Gunn, and I've said this about the Waller thing, this is what I'm saying it's similar to about, what was it, Dick Grayson, Scarecrow, Professor Pig, and Harsh or Clayface, all of these people being in it. When that was presented to Gunn, he was like, totally not true. But I still maintain, similar to what I've said was reaching with my, speculation about what we went over with Waller earlier. It's like, what if a part of that is true? That doesn't mean that one of those villains couldn't be in it. So that's why I guess John Roca's source is saying, and the stories you've heard about certain people being a part of the film is half true, half not true, right? And also, as for the script, you never know behind closed doors. Matt Reeves is extremely private with regards to what's being submitted or whatever the progress is on the Batman Part 2. So who knows how far the script is along, and you would have to hope that they are basically, or like this would be true, because I think we can all gather by now the tentative filming date for the Batman Part 2 going from November to March. March probably isn't even a thing right now if the script is still being worked on. But anyway, continuing on. So half true, half not true is what I'm hearing. And that they're using Batman Earth 1 as a little bit of the foundation for this particular film. And this person still doesn't know if Harvey Dent is going to be part of the movie or not, which is, I would like Harvey to be in it, but maybe he might not be. It's very much so going to be dealing with the high society, very much like a conversation about the elites / the haves versus have-nots within the story. They kind of teased that in the first Batman movie, so I wouldn't be surprised if in the Batman 2 they go deeper into that. So as for the latter there, again, take it as you will. It is just very much so a rumor right now. I just wanted to chuck it out there. A lot of you have been asking me to comment on it. The plot teaser there of the high society, the conversation surrounding the haves and have-nots within the story, I do believe they could continue along that line of thinking, especially as I've said, even though Riddler kind of rose up after being downtrodden, even though he had a much bigger issue with the corruption that was being masked within the pillars of Gotham, the mayor, the district attorney, the police commissioner, everything like that. After what happened with the Waynes and what was exposed by Riddler there, of how, even though we know Thomas Wayne was distraught after he learned that Falcone killed Edward Elliot, the public perception is of probably disgust. And they believe that Thomas Wayne was dirty like that and was working hand in hand with Carmine. So you could still have that discussion between the public about, the haves and have-nots, right? And Bruce might want to try and bridge the gap there, and that's why he comes out a little bit more as Bruce Wayne in the story. Now, I still don't think he's going to be a playboy billionaire or anything like that, but we do all expect a bit more of the identity, the theme of identity, to be explored. In some other Batman-related rumors, this one is a rumor we've already heard, but another scooper of whom I would say is, reasonably reliable out there. Once again, this is from the other day as well. A Scarecrow project is in development according to Big Screen Leaks, and he says, I know for a fact, and when he was asked, I believe in the original tweet, the Scarecrow and Professor Pig movie still happening, or the Batman 2 and the Penguin are the only projects in the Batverse? Big Screen Leaks responded, I know for a fact that Scarecrow is in some form of development, greenlit or not, but Professor Pig project is news to him. So the Scarecrow movie thing has been something that's been reported for a long time. I don't need to repeat myself so much, but again, this goes back to that Hollywood Reporter article I keep talking about, going all the way back to October of 2022, where they said that Matt Reeves was meeting with writers and directors to explore the possibilities of not only spin-off shows like The Penguin, but spin-off movies, all ranging from Professor Pig, Clayface, and Scarecrow. And apparently, up until now, 2024, the rumor is still very much so in swing, at least if not just surrounding a Scarecrow project. I don't know what more to say than what I've said before. I'm very intrigued as to if and when we will hear some official acknowledgement of what the heck is going on with these long reported rumors of spin-off movies surrounding the Rogues Gallery. But there's not too much more to say there. Plus, I've been rambling for ages in this video, so I'm going to end this one here. Let me know your thoughts on absolutely everything that we had to discuss, any ideas, any speculation. I go through and read every single comment, so can't wait to engage with you guys down there. If you like this video, and especially if you got to this part, thank you so much, especially you watching right now. Please remember to hit that like button. It really does go a long way to supporting the channel and getting it out there in the algorithm just a little bit more. Consider subscribing if you haven't done so already. But until next time, thank you again for watching. I hope you have a lovely rest of your day, and I'll see you people of the DCU in the next video. Goodbye.